First of all, let me put it this way. You cannot sell what you don't have. And it's difficult to sell what you don't practice. You get me? Mm-hmm. When they were trying to amend the Constitution for the second time to remove the
age limit.
The age limit, I met the legal committee. I gave my views, some were written, and I made one statement and one question. The statement was to these people that power intoxicates a person far, far more than alcohol. You can get, when somebody is intoxicated with alcohol, they become more powerful, they imagine things. But the difference with it is that when you wake up tomorrow, there is time for reflection. On the other hand, power is a permanent thing. In the washrooms, in the office, wherever you know. Wait power. A minute.
Honorable Mushega, you're saying your colleagues are in a kind of a permanent drunken stupor?
No, no, no. It's not drunken
politically.
Stupor. Can I finish my statement?
Okay.
One was power, whether you like it or not, can shroud you into a mystery and you become more powerful. And there are certain things you don't see. Mm-hmm. I've also been in power, but in a lower level. You are treated, wherever you go, you are treated this way. You don't come to see with the time the reality on earth. And you begin to get advisors also who want to tell you what you hear. That was one aspect. The second aspect, there are these two schools of thought. The school which thinks that only one person can manage Uganda. Without him, there is no peace, there is nothing else. And my question to the MPs was, is your leader the person you are trying to amend the Constitution for? A leader to the promised land, to bliss, future bliss, or potentially a danger to a leader that could easily lead you to an abyss of danger and probably disaster. You understand me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you stay long, and on that one we still agree with the President Museveni that overstaying in power in itself is not an attribute. Then there is a new aspect. Do you sell what you don't have? Because you have people who do not believe in democracy, trying to sell democracy with a sense of entitlement. They have come to believe that this position of MP for this area, minister for this, is mine, and anybody who wants it really is a danger to society. You can see in 2000, there are people, when they try to run with both my old friends, people moved the motion in our meeting that we should declare Museveni a sole candidate. And I remember, I don't want to mention myself, strongly Honorable Kategaya, the late Kategaya, may so rest in peace. And General Munt said, why are we doing all this? And Munt told one of the people in NEC then, mm-hmm. that you people destroyed UPC and you are come here to destroy our movement. And eventually that never worked. It was tried. I don't want to mention who are champions of it, because some of them are now champions and some others, we all think the same way. And now he's declared a sole candidate. So even when you run against him as if it's a crime against humanity, it is not said publicly, but actions speak louder than words. So it's a problem that we need to look at holistically and have a frank discussion about it. Because even when you meet people in the movement, very few believe in what they say publicly.
Now, talking about when people in the movement, I know you as somebody who belonged to that NRM, where there was intellectual discourse. And I can remember names of people like your colleagues like Augustine Ruzindana, like Winnie Byanyima, the late Wapakabulo, the late Mayombos. And you could sit and talk and discuss some kind of statesmanship. But it appears to me that the baton has been handed over to the likes of Full Figure, Balam, and Butcherman. Is that the natural progression you expected?
You are taking me in an area I'm not familiar with. It's not my role to talk about the abilities of people or myself. But in any society, even with your own self, you always have a debate in your mind, isn't it? Should I ask Mushega'S this question? Should I not? should I go this way? You debate when there is an issue, you don't just go one way. I'm sure you debate in your mind. True. And sometimes you can ask colleagues.
There has been even a question who say, I asked myself, and you wonder who is asking yourself.
Yes, you can ask yourself.
There's always, yeah, something
even
like
when I was in the government, I used to, both as the Secretary General and as a minister, I used to tell some colleagues that sometimes the views of the Minister of Education are at loggerheads with those of Mushega. Because you come with views in a meeting, like when with the views, let's declare the president is sole candidate, and you debate with others, and because you want a team, and their views win over the moment. And when you go to defend them, it's as if they were the original views. That's what the leadership is all about. So whether the current crop is better than the old is not my business. But what I know is that the level of debate, if you look at the Hansard of the 60s, these MPs, the level of debate, and these were people who are J2, Senior 4, very few PhDs. I only know Dr. Limbazake. The level of debate on national issues was far superior than today. There's not about it.
So that's what I'm asking.
This is a general situation. If you looked at the Secretary General of Acholi, the Secretary General of Chigezi, the Katikro of Uganda, the Katikro of Unyoro, these were men who took their jobs seriously, of stature. Of course. So in a way, we have lowered the bar of leadership, and I've made it known to my colleagues in government outside it. There's no doubt about it. So that the bar of leadership has been lowered, and something must be done about it.
So there hasn't been any kind of grooming for the leaders of today and the leaders that are going to take the country forward?
I don't believe in grooming personally.
No, but at least if people are exposed to some kind of ethos and values, that's the kind of grooming I'm talking about.
Grooming means you encourage as many young voices as possible to blossom. And it's a way of people saying, no, this one is better than so and so, this one is better. Now, tomorrow, out of 5 or 10 people you choose, you get me? The population, whoever they choose, is well tuned to keep the baton going. In other words, there's always youth leagues, there's all the younger generations. The baton moved may jump the queue, as my brother put it. Instead of going to 70, it can come to 40. But all of them, and then second, there are institutions. You put institutions in place that contain leaders from going astray. I hope you get me. Mm-hmm. And those are the issues that work. I'll give an example. I was talking to a former leader in Tanzania. We involved in the Burundi talks. We have been put on a committee of eminent persons to reconcile the Burundi people. Then we discussed the issue of Uganda, because then the late president of Burundi was trying to change the constitution. Uganda was trying to change the constitution, and others, a few more. And then this gentleman told me that when Nyerere wanted to retire in 85, in 8 after they won Uganda, they said the nation needs you. Then he continued. In 85, they said, if you go, the country is gone. We need you. Then he mentioned, he said, I brought myself into politics. It's me to take the decision. I think I've done enough. The Central Committee members maybe started something, what they were saying, without you, the country is doomed. And this gentleman, he wrote than me, and he was a student, he was already Attorney General. So I respect him. He said, so he said, I'm not running. But because Nyerere had encouraged many leaders to blossom, then he turned to me, he said, you know, when he stepped down, what happened, Amanya? I said, no. He said, 17 of us picked the forms. That's where the Mwinyi, the Mukapas, the Kikwetes, Musuyas of Tanzania come from, Marecheras, I happen to know a good number of them. People are saying we cannot not do without you.
And here's a big number that wants to step in.
Immediately, as soon as they said we're stepping down, because when you want to stay in power long, one of the things you do is to make yourself indispensable. By having associates, when they compare, they say, really, they make alternative look ugly. One time I was arguing with a colleague who is a minister. He said, why do we want to step down? So that the best day takes over. I turned him, I said, first of all, what's wrong with the best day? Number 2, Why should the next leader come from the opposition? Can't you yourself be a president? You have been a minister for so many years. The President Museveni been a minister even for 5 years. Then you look back and say, why do you have to look? Did Mwinyi come from the opposition? Did Mukapa come from the opposition? Did Mbeki come from the opposition? Why must leaders have to be merged from? They can come within or without, but within the path of Uganda.
So why is it that in NRM, for example, there are very few people who have shown the ambition to lead? I'm sure there are people with the qualities, but in most cases, if we go to the primaries and everybody is singing a sole candidature, is it because they are really convinced they can't lead? Or probably the top executive is telling them, don't dare?
Well, I wish we could move away from personalities, not to dwell on it. I am not there.
Yes, you are not, but
you
are a senior
but
citizen.
I happen to not have an idea. You know, one of the worst things you can do to people, even children, anybody, is to instill fear. Fear of the unknown. If I do this, what will happen to me tomorrow? I'll give you an example. There's one time in a meeting somewhere I mentioned to the president that it would be good if we could have a formal, friendly handover to another leader. It was a private function. Then I went home. This elderly lady where I normally buy things from, with a very, very sympathetic tone, she turned to me. She was going to Nyankore, but I'll put it in English. She said, Honorable, don't you fear? I said, fear what? That you may be killed? I said, being killed for what? I was taken aback. To tell a leader that he must step down? You get me? Genuinely concerned that my life was in danger. I said, no, but young old lady, take it easy. There was nothing wrong. We discussed with my friends. I just said what my heart felt. And secondly, there are many people in that audience who actually clapped without knowing it. So it's that fear of the unknown. I gave you an example of Nyerere. And you could even take Kenya when Mzee Moi said, I'm stepping down. A lot of flowers flourished. And Kenya is going on. So,
there's an element,
but you can ask those who say it. You can ask those who say that. Do you say it genuinely? I'm sure you meet some of them privately. Do you say it genuinely or is it fear of the unknown? They are the ones best to answer it. I can't speak on their behalf.
I know,
but
but you see, as a senior citizen and a member who sacrifices time to fight for Uganda, you know, we see a lot of violence happening. And I want to ask this. Increasingly, we see violence everywhere. When people try to, remember, walk to work, they are stopped violently. Remember when people wanted, you know, the Kawaka wanted to go to Kayunga, that ended in violence. Just a few days back, there was violence on the streets of Kampala. I know you captured power through violence, but is NRM, that one you had once you belonged, inherently violent?
What do you mean NRM that once belonged? I don't understand you.
You were a senior member of NRM at one point.
And then?
You're no longer a senior member of the same.
Which NRM? Let's put this matter to rest. What they call NRM today, NRMO, has nothing to do with the NRM which came from the bush, except the name and the leadership. This is a party like DP, like FDC, like Anti, like NUP. It's a party with the structures, with the flag, with the membership, with the primaries. So the original NRM, whatever its imperfections, was all encompassing. And you are almost conscripted. We never had primaries. We never had membership. And there was no threat that if you don't vote for me, you'll be in trouble. You understand me? Then we decided that within the constitution of Uganda, yes, it states clearly that the two systems cannot work at the same time. That when one system is in place, the other one is in abeyance. You go to rest. So halfway, we said, let the movement system cease to exist, and we go to parties. And the party, President Museveni chose to call itself NRM. Get me? I'm called Mushega, but Mushega is my father's name. I'm Amanya Mushega, he was Asanasio Mushega. I'm not him. Don't mistake me for him, he was a little bit more serious. So when you say you abandon, no, NRM which abandoned